What's up? This is Conrad, GOG Boxing, and today we're going to talk about the L step, so lateral movement, and we're going to go through the logic of it and also drills and a whole series of drills. So I think you're going to like this. But let's get warmed up, get stretched out, and get ready to move. So let's go. Okay, this is Conrad, GOG Boxing. I'm going to try to do this about the 5th time. We're going to talk today about lateral movement, lateral footwork. Now, I like doing footwork. Sometimes I think that people that when they're starting to box, they should just do footwork. Forget about the bags for a while. What good is punching if you don't know how to move and get out of the way and set things up? So let's talk a little bit more about this. And before we get into lateral movement and more specifically the L step, because that's really what I'm going to talk about, let's talk about just basic footwork again. Let's review. Now, we've talked about this. You're in the stance, right? More weight on the back foot than the front foot. That's what I like. And I like the high guard, but whether you like a standard guard or the high guard, a step, if you're going to the right side, your back foot first, step back, and your next foot follows. If you're going to your left foot, your left side, if you're orthodox, your left foot goes first, then your back foot follows, and when you're front, the same way. So you're always pretty much keeping the same distance between your feet, okay? What you don't want to start doing is start moving like that or start moving like this. Now, for guys that are more advanced, of course, that's that. For people that are beginners, though, it's a problem. And you also don't want to start switching, getting your feet crossed, stepping way out, getting lost, getting yourself totally squared up. Now, I mean, there are styles where you get more squared up, but for the most part, you want to get in a stance and keep that stance so you have good balance and you can throw good punches and defend yourself, right? Now, one way to practice that is what we talked about, this box step. So if you're taking the box step, you can start out going to the right, go back, go left, go forward. We've talked about that. You could switch it up if you're a southpaw. You'd go to your, like we just practiced, to your back foot side, right, go back, go to your right, go forward. Or you could start by going backwards, back to your left, forward to your right. If a southpaw, back to your left, forward, and then to your right. Okay, these are just basic box step drills that a lot of people practice. Now, there's other things to do in foot. We've talked about the bump, right? We've talked about the bump. You can pivot. There's lots of things you can do with your feet, but the basic thing is this box step. But the problem is when people get into lateral movement, things start falling apart. They want, it's easy to go to your left and throw that jab. You see guys circling around. I mean, there's a lot of guys that regardless of what people say today, they went to their left all the time. Salvador Sanchez, you've watched him in his old fights, it seems like he's always going to his left. But you do have to vary it up. The standard advice, if I'm an orthodox fighter, fighting an orthodox fighter, I don't want to keep going to my left because I'm going into his backhand and he can kill me on the backhand. That's a little bit exaggerated sometimes, I think. We'll talk about that one day, but you do need to learn how to go to your backhand side, right? Now, one way to do that is just to do it with that step from the box step. So you're here, you're just going like that, right? For example, if you're sparring somebody, you can just make that step and you come out, you've without even slipping, you've slipped his jab and you can throw punches, okay? But now we'll get into this L step. Now, the L step sometimes is seen negatively because it's sort of seen as the opposite to like the Ali, kind of the Ali circle skip glide, where you'd see him, he'll be here, and you see people come and do that stuff, which is fun, it's cool, and you can do it. It might frustrate somebody who's really a plotter, but a lot of times it doesn't buy you anything. You're just circling, maybe you're buying yourself time. Maybe if somebody has to get real set to throw his punches, you keep doing that and he gets sick of it and you're pissing him off. I don't know. But when people start going to their right side, a lot of times people have trouble moving to their right. And they're looking for ways to make it feel smoother. But then there's another aspect to it. If you look at guys like Julio Cesar Chavez, or Chocolito, Roman Gonzalez, these guys would do what's called an L step even without thinking to cut people off. But what is it? Okay, what is it? Well, if you're going to simplify it, oh, you crazy dogs, I'm going to kill you dead. If you're going to Hey, if you're going to simplify it, we may have to put up with the dogs. This isn't the white trash gazebo, but it's close to it. Now, what is an L-step? Now look at my feet. If you want to really simplify it, it's this little step. Here's my front foot. My front foot comes back almost to my back foot. Then my back foot goes out. And then my front foot will come back and I'll get back in my position. That's real slow and mechanical, but okay. Bop, bop, bop. You see? Front step back, right, my back foot then, and then my front step comes here. So if I do it just a little bit more, bop, bop, bop. Bop, bop, bop. Now, I'm not doing it. Look how I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it in the show off. You know, like I said, if this was the Ali shuffle to this side, there's guys who will do the L step and it'll kind of, they'll start looking, you know, like that. I wouldn't recommend that. If you got a coach, he's going to say, what are you doing? Stop clowning around. There's a purpose to this, okay? And so that's why I don't recommend these exaggerated big movements with it. And it's even hard to keep my hands from flying around. You know, there's stuff you start doing to get rhythm that might look cool, it might be fun, but it's a little bit dangerous. Now, why do I have the ladder here? The ladder here is first we're going to practice this basic movement. And this is one thing that you can do with a ladder drill that will give you a workout that makes sense. Now, a lot of guys, when they have a ladder, you see, like you'll see on YouTube, all kinds of different ladder drills. Some of them, I mean, for a workout, they make sense. For getting people getting used to move their feet, they make sense. Hey, you crazy dog, stop it. But when you get into some of these drills, you know, or drills where people are, you know, doing this stuff, man, were you going to do that when you're boxing? Bing, you know, even turn sideways, bing, you're going to take a hook, right? Some of this stuff starts to get a little insane. So let's talk about how to do the L-strip drill first. The L-strip drill, the L-step drill first. Okay, so what can you do? What can you do? What should you do to practice this L-step and help you use this movement? Well, we're going to practice this drill, which is really easy, and then we'll talk about why use it, when use it, what you don't do. So the first thing is, like I said, some of these ladder drills that you see, right, they might be good for getting some footwork and getting your feet used to doing it, but you're not really going to do that stuff in a fight, okay? In fact, you know, I'm real big on practice things that are going to help you, and don't practice maybe foot movements that may get you where you suddenly square up to people, okay? But one thing that you can do to practice this L step is a simple movement where, I think you can see me over there, where you're in your thing, you come here and you come back and you just practice doing this quick. See, these are little steps, right? What I'm not doing is the big skip step, right? I'm tight and I'm small, right? And I'm using this for a purpose, right? I'm getting these steps in, okay? Now, why am I doing it like that? Well, one, why are you going to use an L step? When you see guys like Julio Cesar Chavez and Roman Gonzalez, Chocolito, they would do this type of step without even thinking, but you would, you know, of course, they were practically always winning, right? White trash gazebo land, dogs fighting, sirens running, is what it is. Now, they would do this stuff without even thinking. They would cut guys off. Guys are trying to run from them, so they'd cut them off to one side or the other, and they get into something that, you know, sometimes I heard called two-fisted fighting, which you are getting more squared up. So you hear, you're slowly working the guy. He's coming over to the corner, and he's trying to get out. And look, I'm getting more squared up. But the thing is, what they're not doing is bouncing up way up high, because that's just, again, you're not really cutting off the ring like that. You can't cut off the ring from somebody when you're if they're over there on the other side of the ladder, okay? Let's say that I'm on this side of the ladder and he's on that side. If I'm way back here doing my L steps, I'm not going to cut him off. He can go anywhere, okay? So why do I use it? Well, one time you use it is when you're closing off the corner, you're cutting the guy off, but you're getting close, okay? Now, what does that mean? Little L steps. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, one problem, which you probably already see, is that if you keep doing this little L step, like that, I'm doing slow, he's going to time you if you're not putting some offense in there, okay? So when you do that L step, you got to think, it's not just to do a step, right? And to be cool and to move around, you're going to have to put some offense in there because you're getting close. You're getting nose to nose with the guy to fight him. Now, another time you can use it is if you are on the outside range. Bam, bam, I'm hitting him. I do an L step. I hit him. I do an L step. Maybe I'm coming back, but there's no reason to do it when you're way back, and there's no reason to do it when you're in the mid-range. So what's the rule? To make it simple. Come on, you dogs. What's the rule? You're closing the guy out, and you're right under him, right under him. Yeah, use an L step to cut him off. Hit him. Come back here, use an L step to cut him off. You're right nose to nose with him, or you're at a long range, you're hitting him, and you're cutting him off because you're slowly getting him into the corner, not mid-range. Mid-range is where you're going to take some shots. In an L step, if he times you and you do 2 in a row, bam, you might get timed, okay? So at least that's what I think. Now, how do we practice? Well, one way is what I just said. Practice these little L step moves, okay? You do that to get the L step movement down, okay? But that's not really what you should be practicing when you're going to later apply it to sparring. That's just to get so you can do it without thinking, okay? Let's talk about how you would practice a drill to sort of get it in your head, but also mix some of the other stuff with you and get some offense in. So I'm going to give you just a simple drill that's going to have combined combinations, different moves we know, and you can practice that and start working stuff in and feel natural with it, okay? So let's go. Okay, so let's go. Now, what we're going to do is this is a little bit of a mind game, this drill, okay? Now, you can practice, get a ladder out, and you can practice these L steps and keep your jab up along a ladder and do that 100 times and get a little bit of a workout, okay? But what we got to do, none of this stuff matters unless, one, it's applicable, and two, you're using your brain. Because if you can't think, you can't fight, okay? So that's why you see a guy get rattled and he starts fighting on instinct and he gets knocked out. He might even physically be there, but his mind's not working anymore, okay? So this is something to practice and get your mind working, right? Now, how's it going to work? First of all, what we're going to do is this. We're going to think about the box step, okay? We're going to think about the L step, and we're going to think about combinations. Right now, all we're going to do, though, is we're going to practice a jab, a 1, 2, and a 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's all we're going to do. We're going to mix this up. But we're also going to mix up the stuff that we practiced before. That means the bump, spin outs, right? The bump, spin outs, and the L step. Okay, so this is how it's going to look. We're going to start over here. We'll go ahead and start over here because we're going to go this way with these L steps, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to practice our basic box step, okay, first. So we'll go to our right side. If you're orthodox, back to the left side, and then to the front, okay? So that's one thing. Here we are. First thing you're going to do a box step. Here, there, back, front. From here, we're not going to throw a combination yet. That's just to get the box step in our head. Then we're going to do our L step. But when we come down into our L step, we're going to come down and we're going to throw a jab. Okay? So it'd be like this. Box step. Right? Then L step, jab. Okay? Then, of course, bring the jab back. Then what do we do after that? We're going to continue with the box step. That's just the first drill. We're going to alternate. And we're going to put in a jab every time we do the L step. Why? Because if you do these L steps and you come down, bop, you're going to get hit. You got to throw punches off the L steps, or if you do move, you better be ready to do something else. So that's the first drill. And you'll see it's harder to do than you think, okay? It's hard to do. So it'd just be here, 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 here. Then we're going to go L step. But what did I not do? I didn't do the jab. So we'll do it again. So here we go. Back. It's hard to do when you're talking. Bam. Come back. Now, bop, bop, bop. L step, jab, come back, bop, 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 bop. L step, jab, come back, bop, bop, dun, dun. L step, jab, come back. Okay, do that the whole length. Now, how do we go back? Well, you can go back just with these steps. If you want to do an ollie shuffle to go back, I don't care right now, but we're not doing this to show off. So that's one thing. Practice doing that. I'll do it again really fast. Okay, so here we go. Box step first. Pop, 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 pop. L step, jab, come back. Pop, 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 pop. L step, jab, come back. Pop, 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 pop. L step, jab, get back, get set. Okay, go the whole length. Now what we're going to do, we're going to add in same thing, except on every other one we're going to do, you'll see Virgil Ortiz do these a lot. So it's like Manny jab forward, come back, jab, punt, jab, two, come back. So pop, pop, jab, pop, pop. Okay, so how is it going to look? We're going to mix it up. So we're here. 1, 2, 3, 4. L step, jab, come back. Now the next time, 1, 2, 3, 4. L step, jab, back, jab, cross, back. Okay? Then we can do the same thing that we did the first time. L step, jab, come back. Then what do we do? Bop, 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 bop. L step, jab, come back, jab, cross, come back. Okay, we mix that up. Then what do? We're going to do the same thing, but you guessed it. We're going to throw in a 1, 2, 3 for our third combination. Now, why are we doing this? To make us think. Okay, this is only the beginning. So here we are, right? Box step, tap, tap, L step, jab. Now I'm just, right now, don't worry about punching hard. We're just worried about getting the drill down and getting our footwork feeling like it just becomes automatic. So let's start over, okay? So, come on, dogs. Here we go. So, box step, right? L step, jab, come back, box step. Now what do we do? L step, pop, 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 come back, box step. L step, 1, 2, 3, right? Then come back, box step. And we start over, right? Oops. And we start over, come back, box step. L step, 1, 2, right? Actually, I messed that up because the dogs were barking. I started laughing. But you get the picture. I'm going to do it one more time, okay? Now, you'll say, but this doesn't feel natural. I know it doesn't feel natural. What you're doing is you're getting where you switch from a box step to an L step and you have your combos in there, okay? That's all you're doing. We're not looking for natural. We're looking for just getting our feet automatic, okay? So here we are. We'll do it one more time. All 3 combos, okay? So here we go. So, box step, L step, jab, box step, L step, jab, hop, jab, cross, box step, L step, 1, 2, 3, get back, box step. Now we come back to the jab, get back, box step. What are we going to do? We're going to do bop, pop, pop, come back, and one more time, box step, pop, 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 okay? So, now you'll see when you do it, it's like, man, keeping all that stuff in my head. Now what are we going to do? We add in one more thing. We add in our bumps and kickouts.